Hello everyone, very good evening. So today we'll be having our another problem solving session. So I am by now you all must be already knowing I am your PMRFTA Sharmishta Majumdar from IIT Jodhpur, and I'll be taking some problems from your last week's content, and this course maternal young infant child nutrition is being taken by Dr. Rupal Dalal. So we'll move on to the contents that have been covered in the last week. The lectures that have you must have gone through the lectures, recapitulating the concepts related to cross cradle hold and the specific 45 points which are very important related to the breastfeeding technique. And also you must have seen the breastfeeding assessment form that has been there in the recorded lectures. And can anybody please confirm whether my slide is changing or not?
Yes, it is changing, madam. Changing.
Yeah. Thank you. So then we'll be discussing some problems related to the learning and action protocols. And of course, we'll be all over recapitulating the different concepts and the different problems that we can expect from the contents of this week. So moving ahead. Yeah, so I had noticed that some of you have said that the breastfeeding 45 points PDF is not available. So if you, I'll just show you. So I have linked the breastfeeding 45 points and the nutrition chart to this PowerPoint. So in case you need to go through these matter, you can directly go from the PowerPoint. So I'll just show you. So if you click on the link written breastfeeding 45 points, so you can see the PDF, the 45 points PDF. So it will be easier for you to recapitulate all the points. And next, if you click on the nutrition chart, so the nutrition chart is also available for you as a PPT form. So you can go through these slides as well. Okay. So you will very soon you will be getting all the PDF forms of the different charts, the nutrition chart, the different forms, the data cards and everything. You'll be getting the PDF version, but till then, if you need to refer to the breastfeeding 45 points and nutrition chart, so you can directly access it through this presentation. Okay. And as I said, the data card, the breastfeeding assessment chart and the learning and action protocols, they'll be very soon uploaded on the portal, right? So I hope nobody has any other doubt regarding the PDF versions of these, the availability of the PDF versions. Do you have any other query regarding these? Okay. So I would like to recapitulate the different 45 points in the breastfeeding techniques. So as you can see, as we have discussed before also, that there are specific points which are to be remembered to cater to the specific and proper breastfeeding technique, right? So as we can see, we have discussed about these before, but before moving on to the problems today, I would just like to skim through the 45 points again, because this is very much important, both from the examination point of view and also the practical implication. So please go through all the 45 points and also the different kinds of explanation that has been given. So please go thoroughly through it. So as you can see, the first point, it mentions about the hunger cues. So we have discussed about this. We have discussed about the various early hunger cues and the late cues, and why we should never reach to the stage where we find the child crying, right? So identification of these hunger cues is very important. So as we have already discussed problems related to hunger cues before your examination, please go through all those problems, right? So problems related to early hunger cues, late hunger cues, and all of these problems that we have discussed before, please go through it, right? Okay, so number 2 and number 3 point which needs to be remembered in this IEC chart is related to the mother's preparation. So first, definitely mother's hygiene is very important, and second, mother's own health. So the mother should always wash her hands properly. Yeah. So the mother should always wash her hands properly before breastfeeding, and also she should be she should be made to remember that it should be a routine that she also keeps herself hydrated, right? So mother's preparation, mother's hygiene, and mother's hydration is also very important in the breastfeeding routine, right? So we have also discussed as to how the mother should be sitting comfortably, and a very relaxed posture in which her shoulders shouldn't droop, her shoulders shouldn't be drooping forwards, or it shouldn't be elevated. So her entire posture should be very comfortable and very relaxed. And then to start the breastfeeding, her garments should be completely removed from the breast area, and so that there is no pressure on the breast tissue, right? And then, as we can see, the child should also be the garments, if the child is overdressed, and the different caps, mittens, socks, everything should be removed, right? Okay. So next, number 8, we can see that this is regarding the cross cradle technique. So please recapitulate and also keep on going through the different going through the old sessions and the older problems that we have gone through. We have studied about different techniques, right, of breastfeeding, and this is one of the very significant breastfeeding technique, which is the cross cradle method that we have talked about. And why it is called cross cradle? Because the opposite hand is being used to feed the baby from the other side breast, right? So hence it is called cross cradle. So if the mother wants to feed from the right breast, so obviously she'll be holding the child with her left hand, and with the left hand she'll be supporting the baby's body entirely, right? And also in the cross cradle position, as we have discussed before, she should place the baby's hip joint in her elbow so as to support the baby also properly, right? And the body should be stabilized with holding the legs below her armpit. So the body of the baby should also be stabilized in this position. Next, what have we studied? The baby should always be brought up to the breast. It is never the other way. The mother should never bend down, or the mother should never change her position to bring the breast to the baby. It is always the movement from the baby's side, that the baby is acclimatized into a position where the baby is being brought to the breast, right? So this position is also very important to give a very relaxed and a comfortable position for both mother and child during breastfeeding. Then, how does the mother support the baby's head? So how is the mother supporting baby's head? Please go through these important points. Where are the specific areas where the fingers are being kept and the head is being supported, right? So next, as we have discussed, that the baby's ear, shoulder and hips should be in a straight line. So this straight plane is very important in this breastfeeding position, right? Next, we have discussed about a nair to nipple position, right? So whenever the breastfeeding is taking place, it shouldn't be like the baby's nose or the baby is facing towards the mother's face. It shouldn't be that. The baby's nose or nair should be directed towards the mother's nipple. So that would be a proper position. And next, to have a proper feed, the baby's neck should also be extended, right? It should be, the baby's neck should be extended backwards and a little bit tilted so that he or she can swallow properly. Then we have also discussed about the cupping and the positioning of the mother's breast into the baby's mouth. Please go through all the problems we have discussed before regarding the 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock position, and what is the finger distance between the, the nipple and the fingers of the mother, and how the entire positioning of the breast is being done, right? So please go through all these important points. And next, as we know that the direction of the mother's fingers is very important because it should be placed parallel to the baby's lips, right? We have discussed this all before as well. And also the baby's lips should be positioned such that the lower part of the areola is properly put into the baby's mouth. And it should never be that the mother is holding the breast tissue in a V-shaped fashion. So that will lead to an incorrect latching or more of nipple feeding. So that is not at all desired, and always it should be a U-shaped or a C-shaped hold based on the type of technique, right? And of course, to also get a proper latching, the opening of the mouth should be between 120 to 160 degrees, right? We have discussed these. Please go through these problems over and over again. These are very important, okay? And as we know, for the proper latching and for the deep attachment, the lower part of the areola should be into the baby's mouth, right? And also the lips should be curved outwards, okay? So as we can see that how the mother is checking the attachment with the fingers. We have discussed about how the mother is supposed to check the attachment of the baby's lips to the breast tissue with the fingers, and whether the mouth opening is properly more than 120 degrees or not, right? And mother also needs to get a support so that she can continue the breastfeeding session without any difficulties. So number 33, as you can see, that the mother should always breastfeed from one breast completely and then should go forward to offer the other breast. And we have also discussed as to how she can inspect whether her milk in one breast is over and now she can go to her next breast or not, right? So we have discussed about the concept of foremilk and hind milk. So how foremilk is more watery in consistency and hind milk is the more fat rich, thicker consistency milk, which is which is very rich in fats, and hence it is required or it is more beneficial for the growth of the child. So it shouldn't be that only the foremilk is going into the child's mouth, and hence the mother should also inspect properly as to whether hind milk is there in the breast or not, right? So hence both foremilk and hind milk are necessary for baby's growth, and it is very important that the mother checks as to which consistency of milk is still there in the breast. So if the mother presses or compresses the breast and sees that a watery fluid is coming out, thin watery liquid is coming out, so that is the foremilk, right? And after that, obviously the mother shouldn't automatically change the breast. The mother should continue feeding, and only after the hind milk is ejected out entirely, then only it is advisable that the mother changes the breast. So next, as we can see, after feeding, the mother should also make the baby burp, and there is a proper sitting position that needs to be followed to make the baby burp, right? And if the baby falls asleep during breastfeeding, so the mother should caress its back or tickle the feet, right? And also, if the baby is attached deeply to the nipple and suddenly suddenly sleeps, so the mother can definitely put her finger and she can slowly detach the breast tissue from the baby's mouth. So point number 38. Next, as we know that the baby's nose is towards the mother's nipple, so all these positional specifications are to be taken into consideration. So also we have discussed before as to when a baby will develop dimples. So if there is more of nipple feeding and there is not proper latching, and if there is more suctioning, the baby is suctioning in air, so obviously there will be formation of dimples. So if the baby is able to latch on properly, so the cheeks will be round and fuller. So these are all very significant signs that can be seen whether the baby is nipple feeding or not. So hence it needs to be seen that the baby is, the baby's cheeks are appearing round and fuller. Next, point number 41, as we can see, if dimples appear. So dimples, if it is appearing, that means the baby is nipple feeding. So more than the lower part of the areola, it is the upper part which is more into the baby's mouth, and that is not desirable. So hence, proper technique education and proper technique acclimatization is important, so that the baby is not nipple feeding and there is deep attachment of the baby to the breast tissue. And point number 42 that we need to remember, every 24 hours the mother should breastfeed 10 to 12 times, and at night at least 3 to 4 times, right? And very important, breastfeeding till 6 months of age, and after 6 months of age, along with breastfeeding, the complementary feeding should be initiated, and this should continue at least till until 2 years of age. So very important to educate other people regarding this complementary feeding. Why, apart from breast milk, the child should be getting other kinds of food after 6 months of age, and so that the nutritional requirement is adequately fulfilled, right? Point number 44, as we can see, that the baby, we have discussed about these, the growth spurts in babies, right? So in the previous problem solving sessions, we have discussed about the different growth spurts. We have also discussed about adolescence nutrition. So why do these specific ages, they require more nutrition? So we have discussed before, like they are growing more, so more of metabolic functions are happening in their body, and so the energy required is also higher, so hence their nutritional demand is also very high, right? So to give supply to that demand, so since that demand is high, hence the supply should also be higher during all these phases, right? So during these growth spurts, definitely proper nutrition should be given to the babies to ensure proper growth and development, right? And point number 45, which is very important and which needs to be taught to young mothers, and which needs to be taught properly to all women, the correct method of expressing breast milk. So as we have discussed before, it is a press, compress, release mechanism that is happening, right? So whenever a mother wants to express breast milk, so as we can see that the nipple is between the thumb and the forefinger or the middle finger, and this needs to be properly placed. The fingers need to be properly placed, and then the mother can press the breast tissue against the chest wall, and then compress without moving her hand. She can compress the breast and then slowly release it to express the milk. After expression of milk, obviously this milk can be stored, and we have studied about these. So since your examination is also it's near, so you please go through all these like after expression of milk, the expressed milk, whether it can be stored, for how much time it can be stored, and what are the ideal storage conditions. So we have discussed all about these. So please go through all these questions, and these have been previously discussed. These are all interconnected. It is conceptually same. You just have to go through it again, right? So please go through the different 45 points, and as I have said, if you want the PDF version, you can access it from the PPT, or else you can just read it from the PPT also, because I have mentioned all the 45 points that are there in the document. So you can go through the 45 points breastfeeding IC chart from this, right? So now we'll move on to our questions specifically from the learning and action protocols. So for the first question, on day 28 home visit, if the baby's weight gain between day 21 home visit and day 28 home visit is less than 250 grams, then what should you do? What do you think should be the answer? Okay. What about others?
Option B.
Okay. Yeah. Correct. So option B. So say for suppose if somebody doesn't know the answer. Okay. So how can we attempt questions like these? So whenever we are considering a day 28 home visit, so let us look at the options. Number one is give formula milk. So obviously we know for a 28-day-old child, formula milk is never advocated, and it is always the breast milk which is advocated. So definitely option A cannot be an answer, right? Option B, show poor weight gain due to breastfeeding factors and physical methods to increased breast milk supply tutorials, right? So this definitely can be an answer, but what if somebody is not sure? So option C, show complementary feeding tutorials to the mother. So complementary feeding, it starts from the completion of 6 months of age, and it is ideally 3.5 months when the complementary feeding tutorials should be started to be shown to the mother, so that the mother can get more acclimatized to what kind of nutritional requirements the child has and what kind of food can be given to the child, right? Next, give complementary food. So obviously you wouldn't give complementary food to a 28-day-old child, right? Because it is started at the completion of 6 months, right? So yes, the answer to this question is option B, show poor weight gain due to breastfeeding factors and physical methods to increase breast milk supply, how to increase breast milk supply tutorials, right? So as we can see in day 28 or the week 4 home visit, so it is very important first to check the weight and the length of the baby, and then also to observe the breastfeeding as to how the mother is actually carrying the breastfeeding. So very silently it needs to be observed first as to how it is being done, and after the breastfeeding session ends, then she should be informed about any any mistake that she might be doing, or she should be shown the tutorials so that she can modify the way of breastfeeding if she has got some if she's having some fallacies in those practices. So next, show cross cradle hold 45 points. So we have just discussed the 45 points and how that can be used to correct the breastfeeding position and the latch, right? And also fill the LAP card and plot the growth chart. So as we can see that if the baby's weight gain since day 21 is less than 250 grams, then the poor weight gain due to breastfeeding factors and physical methods. So this is mostly if the breastfeeding factors, we had discussed before that breastfeeding factors can be different. I mean, there are different kinds of breastfeeding factors. Can anybody remember what are these different kinds of breastfeeding factors we had discussed? Does anybody remember? Okay. So if you can recall, we had talked about the local factors related to breastfeeding, where the latching and the positioning is important, and apart from that we had also discussed that the mother's physical factors and also the mother's psychological or the mental factor is very important for the breastfeeding, for the effective breastfeeding, right? So apart from these local factors, the physiological well-being of the mother is also very important, the physical health and also the mental well-being. So please keep in mind, it is not just obviously definitely it is the, you know, these local factors as to how the baby is positioned and how the latching is being done, but apart from that, to make breastfeeding very much effective, the physical health of mother and the mental well-being of mother is very, very important, right? So as we can see, these tutorials, they need to be shown to the mother, and also what are the physical methods to increase the breast milk supply. So we have discussed before, what do you think is usually advocated to increase the breast milk supply? We have discussed this just a few sessions back. Anybody?
Giving breast
Frequent-
compress and release.
Okay, that is the way the mother is expressing the expressing the milk. Apart from that, how do you suggest them to increase the breast milk supply? Say somebody is, yes, please.
frequent breastfeeding.
Yes, frequent breastfeeding. So as frequently you are breastfeeding, so you will definitely get that oxytocin reflex, and because of that there will be more of breast milk formation, and there will be more of breast milk supply, right? So apart from galactogogues in your diet, this frequent breastfeeding is very important so that there is more of breast milk supply. So yeah, so please remember that these also are very much important to be communicated to the mothers, that if they say that okay, there is there is deficiency in breast milk, so there can be a lot of reasons associated with it. So it is very important that the mother is breastfeeding frequently, and hence these are also the ways how the breast milk supply can be enhanced, right? Okay. So we'll move on to our next question. Correct. More demand, more supply. Yes. At 6.5 months visit, what is the minimum number of food groups that the baby's diet must include besides breast milk? What should be the answer? Okay. Okay. What about others? Okay. Okay. So somebody has said option C. Can you please tell me why do you think it should be option C?
Sorry, ma'am, it is the option B actually. By mistake, I put it as a C.
Okay, okay. So that's fine. Then somebody has said option A. Why do you think it's option A? Vishma, Rajiv, Kaushalya, Cheda, would you like to discuss? Please go ahead, don't be hesitant. We are just discussing the question, so okay. Okay.
Option A,
Okay. And
because it is just 6.5 months, so that is, it would be just about 2 weeks that the baby is introduced to solid.
okay.
So we would repeatedly, that's why I guess, I don't know.
Yeah. So let us read the question again. At 6.5 months visit, what is the minimum number of food groups that the baby's diet must include besides breast milk? So, do you remember how many food groups the baby is supposed to have? Like, what is the
Minimum of 5.
Food group.
right?
8 food groups.
Yes, 8 food groups and a minimum of 5 food groups. But if you look at the question carefully, it is asking at 6.5 months visit, right? So 6.5 means the baby has just completed 6 months and the complementary feeding has started, and it has just been 15 days that the complementary feeding has started. So if you remember, we had also talked about introducing new food groups every 4 days, right? So every new food group is to be started after every 4 days. So 4 days, in a span of 15 days, there can be a total of 3 food groups apart from the breast milk, right? So breast milk is definitely essential. Breast milk is indispensable in the entire dietary regime. Apart from breast milk, it is 3 more food groups that can be introduced because it is 15 days, right? So after every 4 day, if we consider, so the new food group will again be coming on the 16th day, right? So hence breast milk and 3 food groups that have been introduced in those half month. Okay, am I clear? Is there any confusion related to this question?
No, ma'am.
Right?
So like 4 days once the baby will be introduced to another food group along with the food group that was already introduced.
Yes. So,
Or is it going to be different?
sorry, can you just repeat that again?
No, I mean, my doubt is 4 days once the baby is introduced to a new food group, right?
Yes.
So first food group has been introduced,
Right.
and on the 8th day, roughly we think the second food group is introduced.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
So for every 4 days we introduce one food.
Yes, if you remember, we have discussed this
Okay.
before. So every 4th day, see, when you're starting the complementary feeding, so of course you should start with different food groups for the child, right? So if you keep on feeding the same
Okay.
food, the child will get acclimatized to only that kind of food and will keep on eating that food only. So every 4 day you are introducing a new food group, right? So after 6 months, say we now have 15 days. So 4th day you have introduced one group, 8th day you have introduced another group, new group, and 12th day. Then again on the 16th day you will be introducing another group, right?
Okay.
But
Right.
according to the question, it is 6.5. So hence, apart from breast milk, it is 3 more food groups can be there in the diet of that child. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll move on to our next question. What is the minimum amount of weight that the baby should gain between 6-month home visit and 8-month home visit?
Option D, 400 grams.
400 grams.
Okay. Correct. So as you can see, we have discussed about the 4 weeks, 4 weeks details of the child, and now we are discussing about the 8 months home visit. So these information at specific times of home visits, these are very important related to how much food the child is being given. Now since it is 8 months, so obviously the child has been started with complementary feeding, right? So in the complementary feeding, what is the frequency and what is the nature of the diet that the child is being given, how much of amount, and as I've said, the frequency, and also whether there is proper weight gain or not. So the weight and the height of the child definitely needs to be checked, and yeah, the weight and height of the child needs to be checked, and of course the okay, so the weight and the height should be checked, and definitely these learning action protocol and the growth chart should be plotted. And apart from that, it is to be made sure, we have discussed before that at 8 months of age, it is half cup of a hand mashed chunky food. So if you remember, we had discussed that at 7 months of age and at 8 months of age, they have specific consistencies of food, right? So it should be soft, mushy, chunky, and these are very important as to what is the consistency of the food and what is the amount of the food. So at 7 months of age, at 8 months of age, it is around half a cup. So half a cup, you have seen in your tutorials, the cup is around, the volume is around 250 ml, and half a cup means 125 ml of food is being given, and the frequency is around 4 times a day, right? So for an 8-month-old child, the baby should be given at least half a cup of hand mashed chunky food 4 times a day, and the mother must also make 4 nutritious powders at home. So as I was talking about the nutrition chart, so from the presentation only you can go to the nutrition chart PPT, and you can specifically see the different kinds of powders that the mother can make and keep at home, right? So be it nuts and seeds powder, leaves powder, and what other kinds of powders that can be kept and added to the food. Okay, so powders like these 4 nutritious powders can be added to the diet of the child at 8 months of age, right? Again, here most importantly it is to be seen that from the 6-month visit to the 8-month visit, a baby should at least have a gain of weight of at least 400 grams, right? So it is very important that the baby is having at least 400 grams of weight gain from the home visit at 6 months of age, right? So to properly check the weight gain and also whether the child is being adequately fed, the frequency of the food and also the amount of the food and also the consistency of the food, what kind, the nature of the food, what is being fed. So apart from breastfeeding, now since the child has been started on complementary feeding, the complementary feeding, whatever is being fed, so that is also very important, right? So the breastfeeding, the complementary feeding, so that it gives properly fulfills the nutritional requirement, and whether that is adequately leading to the weight gain or not, right? So this needs to be taken into account. So yes, the correct.
Ma'am, can I ask one more
Yes,
question?
yes, please go ahead.
Actually, when we look into the percentile growth chart, so in that it mentioned that 6 months time, we need to have the baby should have the weight of 7.3. And at the time of the 8 months, that is around 8 kilograms. So that means that the difference of both 1.70 is coming. So here it mentions 400. So
7.3.
that's why, yeah.
As far as I remember, it is 7.3 and 7.7 most probably.
300 only difference come. 300.
Yeah, I think it is around 7.3 and 7.7. Maybe I'll check again, and you can go again and check the charts. But as far as I remember, it is 7.7 something only. It is not 8.
7.3 is 6 months of age, no?
Yeah, 7.3.
That's 6 months of age.
That is a girl child is a 7.3.
Yeah.
And boy child is
Yeah, that obviously that difference will be there in the chart, so you can just go through that. Okay.
Okay. So in what I mean to say that is only the difference between both, only the real age, no? You need to plot, no? Yeah, as per this question.
Yeah,
the 400 grams.
Yes,
Yeah.
this question.
Different.
Yeah, this question is specifically talking about the difference as to what is the difference or what is the weight gain between the 6 month and the 8 month of age. And what you're talking about plotting, it is that specific weight at that moment. So what we are plotting, if we plot So the weight at that time, at that age, if we plot, and definitely after that when we are plotting, so that difference can be figured out from that plot also.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So yes, the answer is 400 grams. Okay. Next we have, what is the minimum amount of weight that the baby should gain between 6th home visit and 7th home visit? So these questions, these are being discussed so that you please go through the different points which have been given in the learning and action protocol. Because it's very important that the weight gain criteria and what kind of nutrition, what kind of food frequency is being supplied, is being given to the child. So this is very important to be, noticed. Okay, so anybody else with the answer? I have got one answer. What about others?
It's 200 grams.
Okay. Others?
Option D.
Okay. So, as very...
Ma'am,
Yes, please go ahead.
actually, there is no mention of the gender here. So what child we should take here?
Yeah, so if there is no mention, as per the learning and action protocol, it is the same which has been given, right? So as per the matter, I think it is the same. So hence it is, it has been mentioned accordingly. The weight gain, whatever has been mentioned. Am I audible?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So as we can see, if we look at the 7 months, so we were discussing about the 8 months, right? So now at 7 months, what we have, so as we were discussing about the frequency, okay, how much time and what is the consistency and what is the amount of the food which is being given to the child. So at 7 months of age, it is half cup of a cup of capacity 250 ml, right? So half a cup of food of thick consistency food, right? So at 8 months, if we remember, we had just studied that it is mushy, chunky food. The consistency is mushy and chunky, and it was also half a cup, right? And four times a day it is for the 8-month child. So the 7-month child, as we can see, it is half a cup of thick consistency food thrice a day. So depending on the age of the child, the amount, the consistency and the frequency of the food is also very significantly changing, and this needs to be taken into account, right? So we had just seen that at 8 months of age, the mother must make at least 4 nutritious powders, right? And 7 months, please remember, it is at least 3 nutritious powders. And since the 6-month visit till the 7-month visit, there should be at least a weight gain of 200 grams. Okay, so as you have very correctly said, the answer is option D, 200 grams. So we'll move on to our next question. At 12 months home visit, how much food should you ensure the baby eats every day? Excuse me. What do you think should be the answer?
B.
Okay. What about others?
Option B.
Okay. So, as we were discussing, whenever we are considering a 7-month-old child or an 8-month-old child, we were talking that they need at least half a cup of food, right? And it should be thick consistency food or mashed food with chunky consistency. But now when we come to a 12-month-old child, as we have previously discussed, it's a 1-year-old child, and now the child can be given the same kind of food that the entire family is having, like the regular meals that the other family members are also having, right? So now when the child is 1 year old, so the child's requirement is also increasing. And as per the requirement, the child now needs at least 1 cup of food of table food. Table food means the normal food that the entire family is having. And now the frequency, we have just discussed that an 8-month-old child should have food for at least 4 times a day, right? Now the 12-month-old child requires food for 5 times a day. So it is 250 ml or 1 cup size, 1 cup of food of normal food that the entire family is having, and also for 5 times a day, right? So here one more important thing that you should remember, from the 6th month visit to the 12th month visit, it is very important that there is a minimum weight gain of at least 900 grams, right? So please remember, again I'm emphasizing on the amount of food, the consistency of the food, and the frequency of the food which is being given, right? And based on that, also the weight gain that is being noticed from the 6th month visit. And why are we saying from the 6th month visit? Because the 6th month is an important milestone from the completion of which we are starting the complementary feeding. So it is very significant from the initiation of the complementary feeding, the child's growth pattern will also be advantageously impacted. So now since the child is having breast milk and different kinds of food group, so definitely the child is supposed to gain weight accordingly. So it is very important that the proper weight gain, it is being it is being noticed, and if it is not being noticed, then the specific kind of steps need to be taken to educate the mother accordingly. Okay, and also as we can see with the food, at least 4 nutritious powders should be prepared by the mother at home, right? So yes, the answer is at least 1 cup or 250 ml of table food 5 times a day for a 12 months old child. So please remember, according to the age, what are the requirements of the child. For your examination point of view, you will be definitely having these kinds of questions where what kind of consistency food is required for which age of child and what is the amount. So please go through these specific milestones when these kinds of changes are being occurring. Like now the child can have food with the family. So what are the important significant changes that are happening in the entire dietary regime of the child, right? Okay, so we'll move on to our next question.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, I want to know, after the completion of 6 months, as we start the complementary feeding, then how many kinds of nutritious powders should be made? Two types?
Yeah, you start with 2 types and then it is increased as per the age of the child.
Okay, ma'am. And between 9 to 12 months, how many types?
It is 4.
4 types.
Right.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question, what is the minimum amount of weight that the baby should gain between 6th month home visit and 9-month home visit? Answers?
Option D.
600 grams.
Right. So we'll move on to the answer as we have discussed. From the 6th month to the 9th month, now what are the changes? So here, as we can see, the child now needs half a cup of food, hand mashed chunky foods, and 5 times a day. So if you remember, an 8-month child the required frequency for feeding was 4 times a day. Now for a 9-month child, it has increased to 5 times a day, right? So the specific amount of food is half a cup, frequency is 5 times a day, and as we just discussed, the nutritious powders, it is 4. Number of nutritious powders, 4. And also the weight gain from 6th month to 9 month, this should be at least 600 grams. So please remember the the minimum weight gain which is advocated during these transitional periods, so that it is it is very important. And whenever we know what is actually ideal, it is more helpful to educate others regarding it, right? So please go through the specific food requirements and the ideal weight gain at different phases. Okay, so the answer is option D, 600 grams. We'll move on to our next question. At 6.5 months home visit, the mother must make at least how many nutritious powders at home?
Option B.
Yeah, I hope everybody can answer this. I have just set up the answer couple of minutes back. Yeah. So very rightly, at 6.5 months home visit, the number of nutritious powders, it is 2. So at 6.5, yeah. So at 6.5, as we can see that the baby eats at least 4 tablespoons of food twice a day. So 4 tablespoons, that is around 60 ml of food twice a day. And the baby's diet must include at least 3 food groups beside breast milk. Okay, so we have discussed this also just a couple of minutes back as to how many food groups should be there in a 6.5 months child diet apart from breast milk. So please remember, it is 3, and we have also discussed how we are getting those 3, right? So the baby's diet must include at least 3 food groups besides breast milk, and the mother must make at least 2 nutritious powders at home. So also remember the weight gain from 6th month to the 6.5 months, that is within the so within the said period of time, it is around 100 grams that is expected of the which is the expected weight gain in from 6 months to 6.5 months, right? Okay, so the answer is 2 kinds of nutritious powders. At least these are the minimal requirements. These are the minimal expected values. So 2 nutritious powders at 6.5 months. Okay, so next question is, at 7.5 months home visit, how much food should you ensure that the baby eats every day? We have discussed about 8 months, 9 months. So what do you think would be this?
Option B.
What about others? I need more answers because I know all of you have already attempted these questions.
It is B. Point B.
Yeah,
Option B.
correct. So as most of you have very correctly said, so the answer is at least half cup or 125 ml of hand mashed foods thrice a day. So as I have been constantly emphasizing on these 3 factors, the amount, the consistency and the frequency of the food, right? So these 3 are very important factors related to the baby's diet. So amount, again, for 7.5 months, it is half a cup, which is 125 ml of hand mashed foods, right? So this is the consistency, and the frequency is thrice a day. So a 7.5 months old child should be fed at least thrice a day. And here we have discussed at 6.5 it is around 2 nutritious powders which need to be made, and at 7.5 it is ideal that at least 3 nutritious powders are made and incorporated into the baby's diet. Next, as we can see, from 6th month to the 7.5 months home visit, ideal weight gain should be around 300 grams, right? So if you go through all these specific charts one by one, so it is very easy to remember as to what is the gradient in weight gain, as to how from which time to which, from which age to which age, what is the expected weight gain and what is the specific amount of food that the child is supposed to have, the consistency of the food, and also the frequency. So as very correctly said by all of you, it is option B, at least 125 ml of hand mashed foods thrice a day. Correct. So we'll move on to our next question. If the baby's weight on day 5 is lower than the baby's birth weight, what should you do?
Point C.
Option C.
Right. So if we can just go through the options, the question says the baby is 5 days old. So would you really give a formula milk to a 5-day-old baby? Definitely not. Do nothing is out of the question. Option D, give complementary food. Obviously not, because complementary food will be started after the completion of 6 months. So hence the mother needs to be taught properly regarding the cross cradle hold and also the breastfeeding technique as to how the proper latching can be done and what are the specific factors which are responsible for an effective breastfeeding session, right? So answer is option C. So as you can see, so as you can see, for a day 5 home visit, first it is very important to check the weight of the child, and then the breastfeeding assessment form. You have gone through the points and why it is important to to observe the breastfeeding. So it is very important to silently observe the breastfeeding first as to see whether the mother is breastfeeding properly or not, and then to motivate and educate the mother regarding the correct way of breastfeeding, right? So after observing the mother, it is very important to educate her and also to motivate her to do the breastfeeding techniques or to employ the breastfeeding techniques effectively, right? As to how the proper latching can be achieved and why the nipple feeding and how the nipple feeding can be avoided. So all these things need to be communicated to the mother, and that can be done through letting her know about what is a cross cradle hold and what are the different breastfeeding techniques and how the latching can be done. So that can be done through the tutorials, right? So the correct answer is option C.
Can you ask a question, ma'am?
Yes, sure.
Ideally, how many home visits a person should be getting by 1 month and by 6 months or by 12 months, a family or a child?
Sorry, I didn't follow your question. Could you?
How many home visits one should make?
How many home visits one should make, right? Yeah. So if you go through the lecture, so there is a specific time, there is a specific timeline as to how the home visit should be made. And initially, the home visits are more frequent, and when the child reaches the 12 months of age, then the home visits are done 1 month. It is done monthly. So before the child reaches the 1 month of age, it is done in a more frequent manner, right? And you can find the timeline in the recorded lectures. The frequency is there. Am I audible?
You are audible. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we'll move on to our next question. At 8 months home visit, the mother must make at least how many nutritious powders at home? We have discussed this, so please give me the answers very quickly.
Option D.
Yes. So please, the reason for keeping these problems, they are very simple, as to please go through all the specific information that are there in the learning and action protocols. So for the examination point of view, you have to go through the minimum weight gain and also what is the nutritional requirement for the child, right? So yes, 8 months home visit, as we have discussed, it is 4 nutritious powders, and also from the 6-month visit to the 8-month visit, it is around, the minimum weight gain is around 400 grams. So please remember the nature of the food, the frequency of the food, and the amount which is being served to the baby, and also the weight gain, the minimum weight gain which is expected in that time frame. Okay. So next question, what is the minimum amount of weight that the baby should gain between the 6th month home visit and the 11-month home visit?
Option A.
Right. So similarly, as we can see, at 11-month home visit, we need to definitely check the weight and length of the baby, and also it is important to inform the mother regarding the different nutrients. As we can see, there is a mention of vitamin D and importance of vitamin B12. So why these nutrients are important both for the mother and for the baby, right? Apart from that, the baby's nutritional requirement is around 125 ml of food, of hand mashed chunky food, and 5 times a day, right? And also 4 nutritious powders. And apart from that, from 6-month visit, it should be at least 900 grams, right? So of course, as we were just telling, that ideally from 12 months of age, it can be a monthly visit, or if a proper weight gain is seen, say for suppose if we see that at 11 months of age there has been a proper 900 grams of weight gain increase from 6 months, but in that case obviously then a monthly visit can be scheduled as it is, right? But if we see that a weight gain is less than 900 grams, or the mother is not being able to feed properly, or the other factors are not conducive, so definitely that home visit, that frequency can be increased, and the next home visit can be done after 2 weeks. So the frequency of the home visit, definitely it also depends on the status of the nutrition of the child, and also the subsequent weight gain, right? So here as we can see, the correct answer is option A, 900 grams. So next question, at 6.5 months home visit, how much food should you ensure that the baby eats every day? Easy question, easy answer. Yes, please go ahead.
Option A.
What about others? Okay, yeah. Okay, so let us discuss the answer. As we can see, and we have discussed this, at 6.5 months, we have discussed, yeah. So at 6.5 months, we have discussed that the baby needs at least 4 tablespoons. Please remember, it is not 2 tablespoons, but it is 4 tablespoons, or 60 ml, right? So it is around 1/4 of the reference size that we were talking about. So initially the cup is around 250 ml. So it is around approximately 1/4 of that cup that is required for a 6.5 months old child. So at least 4 tablespoons, that accounts to 60 ml, or this 1/4 cup size of food twice a day, right? So option A, at least 4 tablespoons or 60 ml of food twice a day. And we have discussed this before, that it is 2 nutritious powders that are to be there in the diet of the child. And also from 6 months to 6.5 months, a minimum of expected weight gain is around 100 grams. So please remember, from 6 months to 6.5 months, 100 grams is the expected weight gain through proper diet of the child. Okay, so yes, the correct answer is option A. Next, what is the minimum amount of weight that a baby should gain between 6-month home visit and the 7.5-month home visit?
Option D.
Right. So we'll quickly go through it. So as we can see that the baby needs around, we have discussed, half a cup, right? So 7.5 month means half a cup, hand mashed foods and thrice a day. So please keep on telling yourself the amount of food, the consistency of the food and the frequency of the food. So these three are important. What are the specific, based on age, what are these amount, consistency and frequency? And based on this, the ideal weight gain for a child of 7.5 months age from 6 months should be around 300 grams, right? So yes, the correct option is option D, 300 grams. Next question, what is the minimum amount of weight that the baby should gain between 6-month home visit and 6.5-month home visit?
Option D.
Yes, very rightly said. We have discussed about it. 6.5-month home visit. What is the minimum amount of food that is required for a 6.5-month child? Minimum food. What is the amount of food? Can anybody tell me?
4 tablespoons twice a day.
60 ml.
60 ml. Yeah.
Correct. What is the frequency?
Twice.
Twice a day. Correct.
Of mashed.
Yeah, it
Ma'am,
is.
what's the difference between soft mashed and hand mashed? Like soft mashed will be more
Yeah,
fine mashed.
soft mash should be more runny, and the hard would be more chunky. So it is like, it is soft is very runny. The consistency should be more. It is more fluid.
Okay, ma'am. Thanks.
Yeah. So yes, 2 kinds of nutritive powders, and of course from 6 to 6.5 months it is 100 grams of weight gain, right? Yeah. So we have gone through this a lot of times and I know all of you remember very correctly. So we'll move on to our next question. What is the minimum amount of weight that the baby should gain between the 6th-month home visit and the 10th month home visit?
Option C.
800 grams.
Okay. Okay. So let's just discuss quickly. So yes, as we have discussed previously also, how do we check for the nutritionary requirement of the child? So it is the amount of food, the consistency of the food and the frequency of the food. So for the 10th month old child, it is half a cup of hand mashed chunky foods 5 times a day, right? And with addition of at least 4 nutritious powders. And from 6th month visit to 10th month visit, it should be at least 800 grams of weight gain, right? So please go through these specific information that are there in the learning and action protocols, okay? And yeah, so for today, this is the last problem on the different learning and action protocol, content. So before wrapping up, I would just like to so a lot of you, yeah, I will go back to the question, just give me 2 minutes. So a lot of you had some queries regarding the NFHS data. So for your exam, from your exam point of view, whatever content has been shared in the recorded lectures and whatever questions are there in the slides, in the problem solving sessions taken by me, and also the recorded lectures, so those are enough for your exam, okay? So But apart from that, if you are interested to know more about the NFHS data, I would just like to show you. So I have linked the NFHS data website in this PPT already. So if you click on this, you'll be directed to the National Family Health Survey website, and here you can find all the latest documentations that are there related to NFHS 4, NFHS 5, and also the previous ones, right? So if you go through it, yeah, I'll just share this. Sorry. Yeah, so if you go through this, you can find out the different documentation which are there for both the NFHS 4, and also there is an extensive report for NFHS 5, both at the national level and the state level and the district levels. And there are two parts in which these information they are available. So anybody who is interested, you can go to the website, and according to your interest, you can just have a look at the different information. But yes, if you are asking from the point of view of your examinations, be rest assured the information or the content that has been shared in the recorded lectures and also in the problem solving sessions, that is adequate for the kinds of questions that you'll be getting. Okay, I hope is that helpful for people who had some queries regarding NFHS data?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, the ma'am presented the first lesson.
Okay.
NFHS data PPT.
Okay.
If we have that PPT, can you please help us to have it, ma'am?
Okay, I don't have the PPT, but the exact images from those recorded lectures are there in the first problem solving session, so you can go through that. Those are the same content. So yeah, that would be helpful.
The
for your exam.
entire PPT we may not get it.
I don't have the access to the entire PPT at the moment. In case I can get it, I'll definitely email it to you. Okay. But from the exam point of view, I think you can just go through the, all the images that have been discussed with the problems. It is from those recorded lectures only. Okay. Okay. So with that.
Ma'am, sorry, there's one more doubt I have.
Yes. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Will we have the access of all the videos and lectures even after the exam?
Yes, you will have it. You will have all the access to the recorded lectures.
I have downloaded the app, Swayam app. So in that only I'm seeing this. So I will have the access of that, no, even after the exam?
Even after the examination, you will have all the access to the material that has been shared. So all the recorded lectures and the problem sessions, so you will have access to everything.
How many questions will be there in the final examination? Any idea, ma'am?
I think around 100. I think.
And what is the duration of the examination?
I am not sure. Is anything specifically written in the NPTEL website? Is it?
Yeah, nothing is mentioned there.
Okay. Have you people received the hall ticket email?
Not yet. The date is announced.
Not yet, ma'am.
The date is announced.
Okay. So.
Only the date is announced. Even the center also is not known.
Okay.
What's the date?
I think it's 30th, right?
Okay.
30th.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's 30th.
30th.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be receiving it from the NPTEL team only directly. So, I'm not sure. It should be around, it's 100 questions, so it should be around 2 hours or 3 hours. I'm not really sure. But definitely you'll be getting the email. Yeah, please go ahead.
Madam, is it of MCQ types or descriptive questions?
It is MCQ. It is MCQ type.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, like whatever kinds of questions I have been discussing in the problem solving sessions, you'll be getting questions of exactly that type. So it's not descriptive, it is MCQ.
Ma'am, and if there is a question regarding growth chart or something, will we get the handle of that growth chart to see and check?
That I am not sure. I don't think so you'll be getting the growth chart.
Also, we'll have to
Yeah,
literally bivert that,
maybe
is
you
it?
can very thoroughly go through the growth chart questions that are there in your assignments. I would suggest that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
And when will we have another session with you next
Yeah,
week?
next week we'll be having the session, and I'll be discussing specifically related to your examinations. So all the topics that we have discussed till now. So it will be a specific exam specific session, and I'll be discussing all kinds of questions that we can expect in your exam.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so somebody has written, I am going to meet Dalal ma'am tomorrow, info. I will share what. Yeah, sure. That would be great for everybody. Yeah, I think that would be great. Yeah.
Ma'am, is there negative marking for MCQs?
Negative marking, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about this. The mark, how the marking would be done, I'm not really sure.
And it is an online examination, is it?
Is it online? I'm really not sure about that also.
And what if it's online? Do we need to carry our system or the system?
Yeah, please. I mean, I think I have my savior, so maybe he can just help you out with all these kinds of questions. So, yeah, maybe you can just jot down all these questions, and Mr. Satish Pol can just help you out with these. I'm really sorry, but I don't have answer to these kinds of questions.
Hello, madam.
Yeah.
I'm Satish Pol. I am actually working as a state government CDPO in Thane district.
Okay.
Tomorrow we will have a training session with supervisor and all the CDPO of Thane.
Okay.
So I will ask all these questions today asked by our all participants.
Yeah, please.
So I
it would be
will
very
share on
helpful.
this group
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Sure. It would be very helpful. So maybe you can just help.
I will
others
drop
out.
my message on the chat group, my number on the chat group. So that please all the participants ask any question until tomorrow 10 o'clock. So I will ask to Dalal madam and respond accordingly.
Is it fine for everybody? I think you can
Yeah,
just.
that would be great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Please share your
Thank you,
number.
Mr. Pol. Thank you very much. Okay, so somebody was asking for question number 14. Is it fine, Ananya Bajpai? Yeah, okay. With that, we come to the end of this session. And as I have just said, next Tuesday we'll be discussing specifically about, it will be a very exam specific session. And in case you have queries related to any topic that we have gone through the entire course of this subject, we can discuss about that. Okay, so is there any WhatsApp group for the specific course? I am not informed. I am not in any WhatsApp group, but if participants are, maybe you can just add somebody in it. Okay. So is there any other query related to the content of the course? Or do you have any other queries related to, or do you want me to discuss anything specifically for the next week? All the matter will be uploaded directly by the NPTEL team on the portal.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
So is there anything specific that
Thank you so much, ma'am. And
yeah.
it's really nice that you're guiding us so much in detail, week by week, and it's really very sweet of you. Very nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. So hence I am also asking, is there any specific topic that you would just like me to, revise for the last time? So maybe I can just discuss in the next session. Or otherwise, I'll keep on discussing question specific, and then we can keep on having, a discussion. So,
Ma'am, can we get to know something a little more detail about this IMS Act?
okay.
Is that possible?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
There's a lot of confusions there.
Okay. So maybe I'll add that into the next session's, content. So I'll discuss more about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. We'll be meeting.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. So this is the second last session, and we'll
Thank
be
you, ma'am.
yeah, we'll be meeting for the last problem solving session next Tuesday. I genuinely hope I've been able to be of some help to all of you. So let us meet next Tuesday again. Okay? So good night, everybody.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.